Hello, beautiful people. I'm DJ, and welcome back to my channel, Indian Cooks and Books. It's been a while. How have you been? I was MIA for a couple of weeks. Last week, I visited my grandma and my cousins, and then I was sick a little bit. I'm still a little bit under the weather, and but I'm back, and I'm so glad that I'm back. I've missed talking to you, and thought you might fancy a drink with me. Fancy a drink with me? I'm drinking something called Golden Remedy, and I will tell you why this is called this in a little bit. Maybe get yourself a drink too. Alcoholic, non-alcoholic, doesn't matter. This is whiskey and hot water. It's something to help with the headache a little bit. So cheers. I am going to be talking about All's Well by Mona Awad. It's been my most anticipated book in the first half of the year. It got released in August, and I finally finished reading it today. And let's right away get started talking about it. This book is creepy, funny, horrifying, tragic, magical. So these are some keywords, and I'll be giving you maybe some tidbits that might be considered as spoilers, so proceed at your discretion. But the book is very atmospheric, and I don't think my spoilers are going to be too bad. Like, they won't matter so much when you read the book. The experience is not going to get spoiled because you know a little bit about it. And if you are a little undecided about whether you want to read it or not, they might actually help, the tidbits that I'm going to give you, whether you want to read the book or not. So if you are somebody who just doesn't want to know anything about the book before diving into the book, then you could like skip this one. But I am going to be talking about some content of the book, not all of it. I'm not going to spoil all of it, and I can't, like, it's kind of little bit beyond my comprehension. Some of the part I don't know how to explain that, but it's really interesting, and I'm going to talk about some things. So let's start with the protagonist. It's the protagonist is a woman called Miranda Fitch. She's 37 years old, I think, and she is a professor in an English department in a university in New England. She is a former actor. She had a bad fall from a stage in one of her performances that messed up her back, and then the subsequent surgeries messed up her hip and her leg, and she's suffering through chronic pain. She has gone through a lot of physical therapists, lot of surgeons, lot of doctors, lot of alternative therapies, lot of medication, and still nothing has made her feel better. Her problem with everything and everybody is that nobody believes her pain, and she is in a considerable amount of pain. She is working in this third rate kind of college in English department, and one of her duties is to be a director of a play that the department puts on annually, and she has chosen All's Well That Ends Well by Shakespeare, which is one of his problematic plays, which is both tragedy and comedy, and the students are unhappy about it. They don't like it. They want something more glamorous. The roles they want are glamorous. In other, some maybe more fun plays, and they are resisting it. She's going through a hard time along with her own chronic pain. And then there is a supporting character called Grace. She is another professor who is a senior in the department. She is Miranda's friend, but they also have had a kind of a falling out when Grace suggested that Miranda's pain might be all up in her head, and she has this problem with everybody that nobody believes how much pain she is actually in, and they just make it worse and worse. They could be kinder to her, they could believe her, they could help. Grace is helpful, she's supportive, she takes her to the hospital when she needs a procedure or therapist or something, but she is kind of cold. Grace herself is very strong, and she just doesn't believe in weakness as a concept, and that makes Miranda feel shitty, and she is kind of angry at Grace, and that's her support system, which is also not that strong. And she has lost her marriage. Paul, her ex-husband, was supportive in the beginning when she had her fall, and she was injured and she was in a lot of pain, and she went through her surgery. She was hopeful that they will help her, but nothing did, and she just got worse and worse and worse. And Paul just got less and less supportive for her. At least she believed that he believed her less and less later on, and she walked out on him. She was too unhappy with him, and she wanted him to be more believing, more trusting of her, and she wasn't getting that from him, and she just walked out. So she has lost everybody that she had in her life. She has lost her career, she has lost her youth, she has lost her health. She is now on the brink of losing the play that she wants to put on as well, due to this girl called Brianna. She is the popular girl in English department, and her parents are the biggest donors of the department, I think, and they have a lot of influence on the department and the play and the roles that are given to Brianna. And she's beautiful, she's full of health, she has a boyfriend who is dumb but good looking in a dumb sort of way, Trevor, and she is everything that Miranda is lacking: healthy, beautiful, and has somebody to do her bidding. And they hate each other, and Brianna is giving her trouble. She's like leading the resistance against this play all's well, and Miranda has a lot of sentimental connection to the play because she played Helen, the lead character, once when in her heyday, and she was excellent as Helen, and she wants to relive her glory and through these kids in the department, but the students don't want to do the play, and she's like at a standstill. Things are at a standstill. Brianna has influenced the dean through her parents to change the play to Macbeth, and she is at her wit's end. Miranda is at her wit's end, and then she kind of meets these three men in suits. They are mysterious. In a bar, she meets them randomly, and they offer her a drink. They seem to know her name. They call her Miss Fitch, and they know how she's been suffering, and they know how she's on medication, different types. The physical therapists that don't help, they just get paid, and they just are sadistic sometimes. They are not helpful, and they just don't believe her, and they are sympathetic, and she is feeling kind of relieved that somebody understands, and they offer her a drink called Golden Remedy, which will make her feel better. So that's why this drink I have named Golden Remedy. It just kind of looks golden. So that's the origin of the name. Cheers again, guys. And she feels little better when she drinks the drink, and she kind of feels relief from her pain in her leg. Her leg always felt like concrete, and she's limping, and she has pain in both her back and hip, and people are always asking her, is it your back or her hip? But she always has to tell them, she always has to perform, she always has to convince them that it's both. Everything is killing her, both are killing her, and her leg. She just vividly describes her pain at a point, like on her foot, a leg of chair is on her foot, and a fat man is sitting on the chair, and she cannot move the chair or the fat man, and she is suffering through that level of pain a lot and every day, and she's barely able to sit on chairs. She's she's like going in and out of zones because of the medicines that she's on. She's always glassy eyed, she's losing track in the middle of her classes, she has no pull in the department because of that, and she doesn't have a tenure like Grace does. And there's another woman called Fauve. Her name is, I can't pronounce it, Fauve. I think it's a very ridiculous name, and she's always looking to get Miranda's job from her, steal from her, and she's like very annoying kind of woman described as all through these like terrible things and terrible people. She is kind of fixated on this one student of hers called Ellie. Ellie is kind of a goth, and she's sad, and she's always lonely, and she doesn't have a lot of friends, and Miranda sees a lot of herself in Ellie. She kind of feels like she shares her pain, and she thinks that she can understand her pain, and she thinks that Ellie also understands her pain, Miranda's pain, and believes her. And Ellie is sweet to her. She gives her some sort of concoctions she makes, like bath salts and petals of flowers and some herbs and something to make her feel better, give some pain relief. But Miranda doesn't take it, and she has had that golden remedy. She's feeling a little better now, and she wants more. She wants more relief. Then again, she goes back to the bar where she had met these three men, and then she meets them again, and something happens, and then she kind of gets to learn this trick where she can transfer her own pain to different people, and she doesn't know if she's doing it, or she's not sure if she's actually doing it. She's like in a lot of shock. She's feeling much better, she doesn't have pain, and the other person can visibly be seen to be in a lot of pain, and she does that to a couple of people who are kind of nasty to her, and she argues that some of them actually like deserve the pain, and things get really interesting after that. And there are lots of incidents, lots of accidents, and in the end all's well. All's well that ends well, and it's a crazy trip. It's vibes. It's so surreal at points, magical realism, psychological horror, tragedy, comedy, melodrama, lots of things. And there is a little bit of a feminist point of view, which I also enjoy a lot in Mona Award's writing. She, I think, has written from a female point of view in all of her books so far, and in this book also. She describes how a woman loses her place in the society if she shows any sign of weakness. Her pain is not believed, and if she is deemed to be a weak person, she just gets ignored, sidetracked, she gets undermined, and it's very sad, and she cannot do much about it, and she cannot do anything. And if the more she tries to convince the society that she's suffering, the less they are nice to her. And this book just like kind of reversed the thing on its head at one point, and it's kind of cathartic, it's kind of strange. It's like the main themes are loneliness as well, and wish fulfillment. Miranda gets her wish, she gets relief from her pain, but then she feels guilty about what she's doing to other people, and I could empathize with her. And I liked reading this book, and the way it made me feel. It was frustrating at points. Some points I was a little bit difficult, they were difficult for me to understand because they made a lot of references to Shakespearean plays, but overall it was amazing. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I would highly recommend that you check it out, and let me know if you have already read it. Let me know if you are planning to read it, and we will have a discussion about it. Let me know if I have missed some points that you would like to talk about this book, and I would love to hear from you what you think about this book. And I will talk to you next week. Until then, take care. Goodbye. Cheers.